There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, you gumpers.
On the Alegria Munson here. Oh, with it raising a beer to you this morning. How I do indeed stand with Fiona Donohoe. Justice for Noah Donohoe. I hope you can pass that on for me, Deagle. How are you this morning? Yes, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. We have updated our camera software, which has thrown us off a little bit this morning. Let me just make a slight adjustment on the screen, if I may. There you go, and zoom out a little bit. Fantastic. Within reach of the Lucky Cockerel, which was very popular. I've been putting quite a lot of shorts up on the YouTube channel, and yesterday's Lucky Cockerel moment with Michael Heron has proved very popular, as has yesterday's interview with Bobby O'Reilly about corruption in Portugal, whereby somebody has said over there on YouTube, Bobby O'Reilly for president. I'm not sure if we can fit that in at the moment. But good morning, everybody. Andy Klein, you'll have seen your photograph just now. A little bit quiet. There's a couple of shapes missing, aren't there, from the four gumpers of the Gumpocalypse this morning. So T-Duck back on Monday, and Coach Turner on his way to Greece, I think. So, yeah, we're having a little bit of a rest, which he recommends as part of the course. If you take a look at the God Squad gentle fitness for Bon Vivers course that we've got at learnaboutportugal.com. He does, of course, recommend rest days, and looks like today and tomorrow maybe such days. Deagle, if you've just jumped in, my opening meme, which I think is very important, and things seem to be happening, do they not, with the investigation? But I stand with Fiona and justice for Noah. If you could pass that on, some solidarity from here in Portugal. With that really awful situation that persists to this day. Deagle, good morning to you. Where it is, of course, it was Marching Day yesterday, wasn't it, in Belfast? It's quite extraordinary to see the fervour in Belfast yesterday, as I saw it on YouTube. Bon di Alegria, Carl and Gumpers from a blue sky Belfast. It should hit 19 to 20 degrees and rain not far away today in Belfast. So I think a little bit of a weather report seems in order here in Portugal as well, which we'll do, of course. Andy, great to see you yesterday. Antonio Effin as well. Andy, excellent to see you. Thanks for coming to the meetup. Bon dia as well from Louise. Glad to be joining you today. I'm so sorry we didn't get to meet each other when you were in the area just recently, Louise. So we'll do that soon, I hope. And I was a little bit... it was a lack of attention to detail, I think, wasn't it? Least said, soonest mended, however. And great to have you here with us this morning. How was it for you being in the Silver Coast area? And what's your next gig? Where are you off to now? Where are you now? And where are you off to next? People are always intrigued and excited to find out about your movements. What's this, Deagle? I screenshot. Oh, he's done a screenshot there. I stand with Justin for Noah and stand with Fiona. I'll pass it on to the family. Noah's Army, hashtag Noah's Army. And yeah, Andy, great to see you yesterday at the meetup. Lovely to be able to give you a little bit of a tour as well yesterday, which, of course, importantly, included drinking some more beer with you after this. What was this stuff called? Gwen Stefani Stein or something like that, wasn't it? But it was lovely to be able to take you to the Biocultural as well yesterday. Fantastic time there. And then, of course, up at Gralha, this elevation here. You can't really see the drama of it there, can you? It looks like the beach is almost within touching distance. I wonder if this helps any better, this little clip. And I haven't checked this for sound. There might be all sorts of wind and expletives on here. Let's see what happens when we press this 10-second clip and press play on it. Very, but quite amazing to pop up there. And there's quite a few people in this area, I think, who have their paragliders, if that's what they're called, and they've got their parachute, their aerofoil in the back of their van. A good day comes like yesterday, and they're up there. And it was just amazing to see people hanging in the sky there, basically from pieces of cloth, just admiring the view and flying overhead. We could have shouted out "boa tarde" to them, and they would have been able to reply. And what's more, we'd have been able to hear them. So extraordinary to take you there. And to Celia de Porto, and lovely to see you at the meetup. A small but perfectly formed gathering yesterday. Talking of Celia de Porto, over at the Quinta de Celia, a Quinta Salir de Porto at gmail.com if you want to get in touch about the first aid course that they're running on August the 29th. The second, these have been such a hit, these courses. They are running English, and they will do Portuguese first aid courses, I'm sure, in times to come. But if you want to update your first aid abilities, insight, awareness, information, you can do that in a lovely part of the world over here. 351 969 656 904. Limited places, €125, the cutting edge. Oh, that's probably not the best turn of phrase to use, is it, with first aid? Or the bleeding edge. No, not the bleeding edge, not the cutting edge of first aid information. Right up to date. That's probably the best thing to say. And so many memes this morning to squeeze in. I wanted to pop the standing with Fiona meme on the screen. The meme on the screen here on the Good Morning Portugal show. And well, we've got a whole queue of them, but I want to show you a few already this morning because they just do come in thick and fast. This I thought was hilarious that I saw yesterday. He's selfie mad, isn't he, the president? He seems to have recovered from his recent collapse from drinking a little bit too moscatel. Never drink moscatel after Actimel, apparently, is the takeaway from there. Health advice for the whole nation. And the Pope visiting soon for International Youth Day. And do you remember that fellow I reported on a long time ago? I can't remember his name now, but it was the Football League. So it was a Portuguese lad who has for years now been awaiting a decision, I think, on his fate, having hacked into some notable football sites. It's quite an interesting case. And I think, has he been locked up since then, or has he been freed now and waiting sentence, Antonio? But a fascinating case. He might get a pardon. When the Pope's here for World Youth Day and thereabouts, he's issuing pardons, I believe, as well, papal pardons. So if you want to put yourself forward for a papal pardon, I think you have to be under 30. That's one of the conditions. You're only going to get forgiveness if you're under 30 for a papal pardon. But I think Marcelo will be in there for a smoothie. This is a corker as well, isn't it? I don't often crop pictures, but that's really good. And this one as well. I wonder what that part of my brain that used to store people's phone numbers is doing nowadays. Answers on a postcard, please. T-Duck, in my correspondence with him this morning, thought it might be those rascals who text while they're driving. That's what they're doing with that bit of their brain these days. What else do you think it might be? It's Disgusted from Fundao, and I've got a suggestion for Disgusted from Fundao. Should he join us a little bit later on? Who have I missed? James is in, of course, and was early on with a bom dia, campus. Feliz quinta a todos. Como está? Tudo bem? Muito bem, obrigado. Contigo, meu amigo. And yes, working the room as well. Thank you. And a bon dia from Antonio F at just after we started as well. So good morning, one and all. If you're a lurker who hasn't shown themselves so far this morning, why don't you take this opportunity? Well, it's a little bit quiet this morning to present yourself. Oh, excellent. We've got news in I'm having a look at the Slugs WhatsApp communications this morning. Thank you very much for that visual dad joke, which I'll do in just a moment. And found the venue in Ericeira for the concert, but Jim Morrison wasn't there. Oh, I see what you did there. Turns out I was a few decades late. Riders on the Storm. I'll see if I can bring that onto the screen as well. Thank you very much for a tenuous, tortuous dad joke. You're always good for one of those. The Slug. Yes, the Doors, of course, is what he is referring to. I think who among us hasn't taken a picture of some beautiful Portuguese doors? They're special, are they not? There's some doors, Portuguese classics with a nautical twist. There's oars and chandlery going on all over the place there, with a nice sea lamp as well, and porthole windows. And it looks like a somewhat surprised face, as sometimes Portuguese buildings can and do, right? Perhaps a little there. Your visual dad joke this morning. What have you got for us this morning? I think I should issue the warning, don't you? Let's. It's the right thing to do to let everybody know, rather than catching them unawares.
Warning.
Oh no! Oh, indeed. I bought a horse. Are you going to race him? I don't know the names of these. I mean, that is the captain on the left, isn't it? What's it? Whatever he's called, Picard, is it? I don't know the name of the guy on the right. Nice beard, though. Are you going to race him? No, he's a lot faster than I am. Yikes. Thank you very much. Damned by faint praise there this morning. Thank you for all of those. 913-590-303. If you would like to send in anything. I think we're among the most cheerful presentations on YouTube, aren't we? We don't often say what happens next will blow your mind, or it just got worse, or they've only gone and done it. We do get a bit clickbaity from time to time. I mean, Stroke the Lucky Cockerel, are you kidding, in capital letters, was fairly clickbaity yesterday, but all in the best possible taste. And to have a bit of fun in the morning. What's going on in the world? Are people forgetting how to have fun? And to enjoy the simple contentment in life? Here you are, faculty members at the College of Contentment. People who are friends on Facebook will know what I'm talking about. So yes, the home of a quiet contentment. Good morning, Portugal here. And this little character has come into our lives. We've got a rescue kitten. Who knows? Previously, we've had all sorts of levels of success with visitors from the feline world. This little fella has made himself very much at home. A lovely little character, a roadside rescue, and now with us. I'm a little bit tired this morning. This guy was biting my feet. I don't know when it was, at 2, 3, or 4 in the morning, but he's a proper little character. Definitely got the studio door shut because he would be in here and climbing all over me this morning. I think he's causing mayhem elsewhere in the house. What a lovely little guy he is. Very welcome here. We're not settled on a name yet. Yeah, welcome to our world, you nice little character. Okay, I was going to show you some weather, wasn't I, this morning? Let's do the weather, and we've got the Learn About Portugal quiz of the day, the question. Have we got loads of answers, correct answers to give as well? Am I keeping up with that? Are you keeping up with that? More to the point, at learnaboutportugal.com. I think they're really good, and I have a lot of fun writing those questions late at night for the following day. Always a lot of fun. I took my prompt, my cue, from Antonio F., who wanted everybody to know about Inês Castro, the legendary lover of a Portuguese king, and of course the focus of an amazing love story. If you think Romeo and Juliet is an engaging and fascinating and romantic story, this takes it to a whole new level in real life, I'll have you know. Highway billboard, what's this? Honk if you love Jesus. What? All right. Oh, and text if you want to meet him. That is not really, that's funny. It's not funny though, is it? Really? I mean, that's really clever. So yeah, for those people who text and drive, honk if you love Jesus, text if you want to meet him. That's very good. And yeah, and Antonio Ferreira has been busy on learnaboutportugal.com. Pop over there. Do you know what? If you want to learn about Portugal, it's quite a good place to go. Learnaboutportugal.com. And you'll see here 7-day, 30-day, and all-time leaderboards. We've got Cátia, top right, joining us at 9 this morning. And the Portuguese will be with us from 9:30. It's always great fun to be in their company. Cátia has been on a recent field trip to one of the oldest winemaking cooperatives in Portugal. And it was recently, the first Saturday in July across the world, is the celebration of the cooperative movement. And who doesn't like a cooperative movement first thing in the morning? Antonio F. then, 7-day and 30-day leader. Deagle, you're doing pretty well as well. Dougie was doing well, and Cátia still remains our champion with 138 points for contributions. That's how it works. If you contribute to the platform, people like your work, you get promoted. It's a game. It's a game for grown-ups. and it's a lot of fun. And Maxine Bowles turned up yesterday and shot straight in at number 8 on the 7-day leaderboard. So good fun. And Clive Gardner's there, you can see right in the middle of the screen, with his incredible contributions the other day on Portuguese music, which is all over there on the community thread. The Portuguese music that you might like to listen to learn a little bit more about Portuguese. So there you go. There's the leaderboard. And here is the weather for you, courtesy of Dynasty Homes. It was a hot one yesterday, let's face it. And even here on the Silver Coast, where we've been enjoying a really nice breeze, it was a little bit hot. And it was all right, actually, at the meetups. Sometimes back in the day when we've done some of those outside broadcasts from there, it's been really hot on the balcony just outside the Palmera Cafe. But it was a beautiful breeze yesterday. However, when I didn't have the breeze, I was feeling pretty hot. And let's see if it's going to be another hot one today. I think it is, isn't it? And I think we might have some rain coming in this weekend, possibly. Let's take a look then. Lisbon, 19 degrees at the moment with a clear sky, rising to 30 in the capital. Fire warnings, of course. Fogos.pt, keep aware of what's going on with the fires. There were some in the Silver Coast area. I saw Jacqueline Branco, who I hope had a nice birthday in the last couple of days, was warning people to stay cool, to hydrate, and to be careful with the fires. There are warnings at ipma.pt, IPMA.pt, and Fogos, Fogos.pt as well. If you want to keep an eye on what's going on, there's an app at Fogos, or you can go online at Fogos.pt, but you can get the Fogos app as well to let you know what's going on with wildfires in Portugal. It is the season. And of course, what's going on where there are fires, whether the crews are there, and what state of resolution the said wildfires are in. So 86 degrees Fahrenheit then in Lisbon, the high today. And yeah, a sunny day today and tomorrow. Claudia at the weekend. I remember her, Claudia at the weekend, all hyphenated. Porto, a mere 23, but that's still very comfortable. And some rain. Yeah, rain in Porto tomorrow and Saturday. Oh, a GMP VIP hangout tomorrow after the show if you're a GMP supporter and you'd like to join us. It was a lot of fun last time. And it happens every second Wednesday. Second Friday of the month. What am I talking about? And it follows Philomena, of course. And yeah, talking of disgusted of Fundal, we have Pete a little bit disgruntled, I think, because I haven't made the video yet. I still haven't, Pete, of the Festas de Tabuleiros footage that came in. We'll make sure that's done by tomorrow. And I would like your help, actually. I've got a number of videos outstanding. I've got my Caldas de Rainha coach station video. I've got the gaming weekend I took the lad to at Obidos. I've got the São João Festa fireworks. I've got the Braga reel, thanks to Lion H yesterday. I think I'll put a little poll up, and you can choose which one I make next. But, of course, as we're expecting Philomena tomorrow, it's only right to get that video sorted out and to have Philomena enjoy that. Well, for us to enjoy that with Philomena tomorrow with a bit of Philomena Friday action, followed by a GMP VIP gathering after the show, post-show. Okay, Porto then, 23, 16 currently, and that's going to be your highest temperature today as forecast in Porto. Coimbra, of course, you might expect to be a bit warmer at 32, which will be the high. Started out at 14, currently 16 with a few clouds, and that rain touching Coimbra tomorrow and Saturday. Faro, no rain. Sunny days all the way apart from Saturday for the next 7 days, and some really good temperatures, just in under 30 mostly, rising to 30 by this time next week, perhaps. 24 degrees currently with a nice clear sky. Beautiful conditions for the Portimao meetup, which you can also find details about at learnaboutportugal.com. If you just put meetup in the search bar, you will bring up both the San Martino meetup, which we had yesterday, of course, and the Portimao meetup to come later on today. Faro then 24 degrees at the moment, 29 the high. Braga 29 also the high with the rain that's going to be affecting parts of the north on Saturday and tomorrow. Oh, pardon me, excuse me. 18 degrees currently with broken cloud. And Aveiro, 24 the high. Beja, look at this. I do scroll down a little bit further to look at what's going on in the Alentejo at the moment. 37 degrees the high, forecast in Beja. 36 Castelo Branco. Évora, 37 the high today. Leiria, 27. And Santarém, For those of you over in tomorrow and that way, 35 degrees today. So a hot one for sure. Let's have a look at Madeira and the Azores. Azores first, light rain at the moment, 22 degrees, rising to 23. And Madeira very comfortable at 20, 21 and 16 respectively tomorrow, with a bit of rain on Sunday and Monday. 13 degrees, scattered clouds in Madeira right now. So there you go. There's your weather, courtesy of Dynasty Homes, dynastyhomes.pt if you want to find out more about them. A few more minutes to go until we're joined by Cátia Lima, who, as I said, has been at Portugal's one of, if not the oldest winemaking cooperative. And we celebrate, I think, especially in Portugal, the cooperative movement. It's certainly for wine production and other types of food production. Cooperatives seem to be a good model. Sharing facilities, of course, the olive press, for example, or the wine brewing facilities and transportation. It's a good model, and the World Cooperative Movement is celebrated every first Saturday of July across the world. So we'll talk a little bit more about what's this, Stephen? Stephen, forgive me, and others whose conversations on WhatsApp I once archived, and I thought they would pop back from the archiving if you sent me a new message. However, not. That may be why the Ancient Mariner got the hump with me. I think he got archived for some reason, thinking I thought that he would pop straight back into the fresh messages on WhatsApp. And also my lad, didn't he? My lad wiped WhatsApp off my phone for me, and we lost the Ancient Mariner. Now he's gone off to sea. And shout out to you, Ancient Mariner. And do come back. We loved hearing from you, and your messages have dried up a little thanks to that technical glitch and my incompetence and my son wiping WhatsApp from my phone as well. Stephen, you're in that category as well. I rediscovered you yesterday and the messages you've been sending me. So apologies to everybody facing or feeling that I might have been excluding or ignoring them. Certainly not. That's a privilege I reserve for very few people in my life. I can count. Oh, the Ancient Mariner's not got he's tuned in. Not got the hump. Maybe he has now. Maybe saying he's got the hump. I haven't got a hump. Just busy. Oh, I'm so glad to see you there, and I'm glad that flushed you out there. Where are you, Ancient Mariner? Please don't be too busy to just a single word response, unless you are splicing the main brace or something like that, or playing backgammon and drinking a gin and tonic. Please let us know where you are. It was always fascinating to track your journey. Squire of the Shires is in. Bobby's in. Bobby O'Reilly for president. I think I've clipped that and sent it to you, Bobby, just in case you can squeeze in a presidential campaign as well in your schedule. But I'm aware I distracted myself there. I was about to tell you something, wasn't I? Steve? I don't know. We'll come back to that. We shall come back to that. I'm a little bit behind. I haven't said that for a while, have I? The man who sat on the bacon slicer, a little behind with his work this morning. Good morning, everyone, from Andy. And I trust you had a great time over here on the Silver Coast yesterday. Did you know then, this is, I think, where we got up to before I distracted myself several times in a row there. Rub a bit of olive oil. Whoops, where are we going here? Did you know, dad joke warning, rub a bit of olive oil and Epsom salt on the painful spots on your body, and it will immediately feel greasier and saltier. Yes, true. Stop it. Oh my goodness, I've got a cup of tea going cold here. It's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to Cátia joining us. I can have a cheeky sip of my tea, which is going cold on the desk here. Active fire, thank you then. So probably from Fogush.pt. As an active fire, look at this, in Serra de Monte Junto. This is how it can occur here in Portugal, near Cadaval. It is a fact of life, sadly, where the conditions are right for wildfires all across the world. I wasn't used to this until I came to Portugal and got terrified in that terrible year of 2017. But it happens every year, and some years are obviously worse than others given the conditions and the state of readiness and so on, and the amount of kit they can find and put into action. Here at the Serra de Monte Junto near Cadaval in the Lisbon district, a fire being fought by 477 firemen and operatives and their kit there. So Godspeed to them, and hope that can be resolved soon. And you can see, as I said, the state of resolution on any wildfire situation, and other wildfires, of course, will be on there. You can see that at fogosh.pt. Louise is telling us she's near Visieux for a month in my bit of paradise. Ooh, you found a bit of paradise there, have you? Lovely. Solo 50 Plus Portugal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling us about that and reminding us of Visieux, the not often mentioned Visieux. 81 sleeps till we're back out in Portugal, and 281 sleeps looking at an in-between trip in. Oh, excellent. So there's the annual trip, and then your in-between trips, January, February, when it's warm, but not a sweltering 30 degrees and low 20s. I think we had a weather report, did we not? From Antonio. Bon dia. Top temperatures today ranging from 21 in Sagres and 36 in Faro. Woo! I think that emoji says there. Okay. Yeah, that was hilarious and good safety information. Highway billboard, honk if you love Jesus, text if you want to meet him. So true. Capricorn 12, not driving on the train, I suspect, this morning, popping in and out as I am working. How you doing, Chris? Carl, don't forget to chip him. It's mandatory, and the vet will check if he's fine. I mean, you take a cat in, and the next thing you know, you got loads of costs. Okay, I get it. I do get it. Mandatory. Thank you very much for that reminder, Antonio. And isn't there a chipping month? Is June a chipping month of animals here in Portugal? I don't know if there's a special offer during those months, but isn't it the month where you've got to go and register or re-register your pet at the local what's it called? Freguesia. Okay, this was what reminded me of all that WhatsApp stuff. Carl, were you shopping for a new tea towel? Where was this then? To which picture is he referring, I wonder, shopping for a new tea towel? I do love your comments, Stephen. They make me think. Holder. Ah, yes. Okay, yeah. New tea towel holder. The cat on the Zoom, the classic tea towel holder moment when the cat... Why do cats love to expose themselves in that way on Zoom calls, I wonder? Sarah's in as well. Sarah Yeoman, good morning to you. Ancient Mariner, have we found out where you are yet? Victoria, what's it going to be like at the Portimao meetup today? You popping along to that? You are a hostess of that in my mind. I hope you are going to be there. In the 70s and 80s, there were cooperatives for house construction. Going to be finding out more about cooperatives in a few minutes' time. Morning, everyone, from Lord Gilchrist and Enola Bon dia, kids. From the ever sunny Portimao. It is the meetup today, isn't it? I haven't been giving people the wrong information, have I, Victoria? We've got Squire of the Shires in. How you doing, mate? Morning, Squire. And have a fabulous day from Jacqueline Branco, who I mentioned earlier on. We'll see you at the Rounders on Sunday, Jacqueline. And good to catch you briefly. Gotta go. Have a great day. There she was, like a swallow swooping in and back out again. Cooperatives equal community empowerment. Let's find out if that's the case here in Portugal. Don't forget the charity rounders match. Hey, I just said that. Playing at the rugby grounds, Caldas Tarenia. See you there. And Gary Mills is in. Good morning to you, Gary Mills, with a bon dia. Hello, mate. And hosting the Portimao meetup, I am. So give us a bit more detail, if you will, Victoria, on the screen, where people need to go. It's Casa Inglesa, isn't it, in the Portimao? Are you in the marina at Portimao? Portimarina, perhaps you might call it. There. So have a great time and do give us a bit more info, if you will. It's 9 o'clock, everybody. That means Cátia Lima is about to join us. Not before she gets a massive round of applause, however. Hola, bon dia, alegria. Cátia, good morning to you. How are you?
Bon dia. Bon dia. I'm okay, thanks.
Good. And you do enjoy your round of applause. Oh, okay. I wondered if you'd seen this or not. You're liking the greenery? Are you the organic green screen?
Yeah.
Good.
I do like that the on air is kind of, covered in leaves and in the plants and stuff.
Yeah. We've wanted something like this for a long time, and we went about it. And as it's growing, I mean, people who watch every day will eventually see that on air sign. Covered by that very healthy plant there. I might have to rejig things. The plant on the right of the screen isn't so happy, Mrs. M was saying yesterday. So we do, it takes a little bit more care than the old green screen, this caper we've got here. And I think I should get a different seat so we can see more of it. Anyway, enough about my green screen. How are you doing? We've got a bon dia, Cátia, from Portuguese in Lisbon. You are beyond Lisbon, of course, as the famous.
Yes.
How are you doing? What's been going on for you?
Lots of writing.
Good,
Very,
good,
very
good.
busy lately. Yes, yes, that's good, of course. Um, and although I have to say that as someone who worked for a magazine, well, yes, a magazine for almost, I don't know, 6, 7 years, you do get used to that thrill of the incoming deadline. No, the fast approaching deadline does give you that thrill.
You
So yeah, I
still
can't
enjoy
complain
that
very much,
thrill.
really. Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
And I'm talking to a Portuguese publication about having a column, and I don't think I can give it away just yet. But it's based on. I did a column in the UK when I run in Natural Health Centre. I used to do a weekly column about alternative and complementary medicine. And I was thinking last night, I still got all my cuttings. I saved them all, and I used to run to the or walk quickly anyway to the newsagent to get the latest copy of the paper. And every week it would still be a buzz to see that what I'd emailed in got printed. Do you have that same buzz? Do you like to see your stuff in print as well?
Yes, 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 yes. It's like that feeling of, oh, my baby, it's so beautiful. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
if you're lucky enough to be a weekly columnist, you can
Even
have that every week.
yeah, even if it's not when it's ghostwriting, even if my name is not on it, I still love seeing the end result. Yes.
Yes, because I imagine you do as a writer. Most professional writers will occasionally be doing a bit of ghostwriting as well, won't they? That other people
Yeah.
might take the credit for. But you know, don't you? You know that you wrote it, and you can
Yeah.
have that
I did that.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
And do you find as well, what you get, what you can give yourself extra points for is if you write something and it hasn't been messed about with very much. It's almost printed verbatim. That's a nice feeling, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Or you might just have a lazy editor. There is that. Anyway, and where can we see your work? Are there is there a publication in which we can enjoy your work?
Yes, I can give you the link. Well, besides the blog, um, I
Yeah, of
have
course.
been a
We have your
featured
regular
writer.
blogging. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've been a featured writer for the letter of the Live and Invest Overseas. It's one of the magazines from Live and Invest Overseas. I will send you a link as soon as I can.
Please do.
It's not really
Fantastic.
cooperating a lot.
And of
And there might
course,
be some more news concerning that. I'm sorry, I think there's a bit of a relay here.
we always have a frisson of technical difficulty when we speak to you, but
Yeah.
nothing we can't overcome. Not a problem. I'm just while you're finding that, we can say that the Portimao meetup is by the river, not at the marina. Casa Inglesa at noon for the Portimao meetup today. That is. And in a few months' time, says James, this is Carl Munson coming to you from the tropical rainforest. That'll be amazing. Peeking through the plants. Estou ótimo, obrigada. Victoria is working the room as well. Brilliant stuff. Okay, and of course, there's the link to your WordPress blog, Beyond Lisbon, which I think the ethic or the motivation is a fantastic one for your blog. You want people to know that there is more to Portugal than Lisbon. Not that there's anything wrong with Lisbon, of course, but there's a whole lot more to life in Portugal
Yes.
than Lisbon.
Yes.
How do you think that mission's going? How old is that blog? How long have you been doing it now, Katya?
10 years old already. Yeah.
Really? 10 years. Fantastic.
Yeah. 10
That's
years.
got to be worth a coffee. Buy her a coffee. Go to beyondlisbon.wordpress.com where you can buy Katya coffee. That is amazing work. 10 years of blogging over there. And
Yes.
your
Yes.
mission, do you think in that time people have discovered that there is certainly more to Portugal than Lisbon? I would think so.
Yes. 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 And I think that you see that not just in terms of tourism, but also in the fact that I don't write exclusively, and I'm talking about the blog, not even about my professional writing, but on the blog I don't write exclusively for the tourism industry. I write for anyone who has an interest in Portugal, and it's interesting to notice that not only other parts of Portugal besides Lisbon, Porto, and the Algarve have been getting more tourists, but you can also see that there has been a bigger influx of foreigners living in Portugal, especially in central Portugal, I would say. That's what I noticed the most. Without going to Pordata to check any any numbers, I think that's where I would say there has been a bigger increase in foreigners living in Portugal. And yes, I think that's a reflection of people noticing something which to me is obvious.
Yes.
although there is still a big focus in Lisbon and in the Algarve in particular, I would say, and not so much in Porto, but in the Douro region, But
yeah,
yeah.
The usual suspects will continue to gain in popularity, I'm sure. And the wonderful work you're doing, and people just finding that. I mean, this is the way it works, I suppose, in the discovery of any country. And I don't mean that to sound in any way patronizing, because it's always weird, isn't it, when people talk about countries being discovered by them. They were always there, of course.
Yeah.
And this has been the phenomenon, hasn't it? I think the Algarve and Lisbon have led the way. Porto joined in on that in the last couple of decades. And as people get more comfortable with Portugal as a place to come, and all the infrastructure gets easier and more established, people get a bit more adventurous, don't they, and venture out. And I'm hoping as well, Cátia, and I don't know if you would agree with me on this, and I was pleased to see a recent article where there is positive encouragement to get people, with government incentives actually, to get people to move out into some of the less populated areas. I'm hoping that it's not just tourism beyond Lisbon and beyond Porto and the Douro and the Algarve, but people coming, repopulating central Portugal and the Portuguese interior. I mean, it's such a treasure and such a great quality of life. It's just that the general trend, I suppose, of globalization is to put people into cities, and often with coastal towns as well. So hopefully Portugal can enjoy a really good demographic shift like that, and have people move back out into the less populated places. What do you think that would take for that to happen, as well as the government bribing people?
For people to move to more further inland, you mean?
Yeah.
Away from the. Well, first of all, infrastructures, but I mean, it's connected, right? This is a catch-22, because
yes,
the more people you get to go to smaller areas, the more that will attract, everything else, more shops, schooling, libraries, everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say the pioneers doing it will have to be people who need to be, I would say, very resilient, to adapt to be able to adapt to a place that it's going to be going through a big adaptation itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fingers crossed for that. And if you research, I can't remember whether it was the Resident or the News that carried the article about this, but there are government incentives to have people move into the interior, and I'm sure that's part of the recipe that's needed. Okay, before we get into cooperatives, which is a fascinating subject, and I'm so grateful to you, Cátia, for coming along, introducing us to the indie brands and to another side of Portuguese life, away from the mainstream often. You were inspirational in my love of this product and this brand. Look, I've found their shaving now. I've got the cologne. The cologne's in the car for some reason. It sounds a bit dodgy. Splash of Brito cologne as he gets in and out of the car. Well, a couple of days ago, on learnaboutportugal.com, Brito were the subject of the quiz, which I want to bring onto the screen now, having given the answer away by saying that, in fact. Anyway, I'll run today's question past you as well, which I know you'll know the answer to. So please don't shout it out. But Wednesday the 12th, yesterday, this was the quiz question. Can you name the two German brothers who in 1918 created a soap and perfumery company in Porto that survives in a delightfully vintage way, as you can see here, to this day? Picture clues below. Were they Achilles and Afonso de Brito, which is, of course, was the correct answer? It wasn't the Kleinderhans twins, or the Kleinderhans twins, a tortuous pun there in German too, or the brothers who smelt grim. It was, of course, the company name, Brito, Achilles Brito. What a fantastic name that is. And here are some of their products. That's them back in the day. And that's what their wonderful office looks like now. They produce these fabulous vintage-looking products, but they are in a very swanky, modern-looking place there. Have you ever been there? That's important, isn't it? Have you been up to there? Can you have a little tour around the production facilities, Katya?
I haven't been there, no, but it would be cool.
We would, wouldn't it?
Although I might be able to have something of a bit more indie in a couple of months. Yeah.
Oh, and is that something you're going on, or are you organising a trip for others to join in on as well?
No, it's well, I don't want to give too much away right now, but it's a
Okay,
company
sounds like
that works more or less in this area.
yeah. Okay,
They
all
work
right,
more
all
or
right.
less in this area, and I have been using their products for a while. I got to talk with them recently, and
Yes,
so
very
maybe
nice.
I'd like to do something fun with them for the
Oh,
blog.
cool.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Yeah, feel free to bring him onto the show. Okay, today's quiz then, you'll definitely know the answer to this. And it was Antonio F. who mentioned Inês de Castro. And we have a little bit of information about her and her lover, Pedro, King Pedro, of course, of Portugal, in our classroom, where, of course, you can learn about Portugal. And that is today's quiz question for Thursday, the 13th of July, 2023. I'm picking up and running with Antonio Ferreira's prompt about Inês de Castro and her legendary love affair with the Portuguese king for today's question. Where is she and her lover immortalized, as seen in the pictures here? The two tombs seen here, created as the culmination of their love affair in the afterlife in the 14th century, were originally side by side, their feet facing east, and I'm sure there's some significance in that. In the 18th century, the tombs were moved to the newly built Royal Pantheon in Lisbon, which we also have a link to in our classroom, and that's an amazing building. Thanks to T-Duck for telling us about that in the last couple of months, where they were placed facing each other. Okay, in 1956, they were moved to their current position, and that's the location we're looking for today in the quiz. Again, facing such that, check this out, such that they could look at each other in the eyes when they woke up on the day of the final judgment. Where in the earthly realm are they until that time comes? Are they in legendary Alvagra? Are they in sexy Sintra? Or are they in amorous Alcabasa? See also, and Katya will certainly have learned about this at school, I think, the gruesome coronation ceremony where the king has his court kiss the hand of the already dead Inês. And here are some pictures I took some time ago. Look at the light in this place. It's fantastic. These are the tombs that have been mentioned already this morning. And there you see the vaulted ceiling of the monastery in this town. And we're looking for the name of that place this morning. I'm loving doing these, as I said, the Portugal quiz. And thank you for your inspiration when it came to doing Achbrito the day before yesterday. And so on that note, Katya, we're talking about indie businesses, aren't we, in a sense, and co-ops, people working together. What's your interest in this subject?
Yeah. Well, it was several factors coming together. First of all, I wanted the subject for July, and I noticed that we had the International Cooperative Day on the 1st of July. And then I remember I have a cooperative, well, several, but one in particular that I was very interested in, right here in Sintra. And it just so happened that it is the oldest cooperative winery in the country. So it just seemed like a very interesting subject. And it was a place that I had actually passed by several times, but had never been in there. So I was extra curious about that. And before actually going there, I did a little research. And because I'm not that much of a wine drinker.
So really?
Yeah. Who would have thought, right? Yeah. And I found out that this cooperative I'm talking about is in Colares, that's in Sintra, right? And Colares is the so that cooperative is the oldest wine cooperative in the country, and that Colares region is the oldest demarcated region in the country as well, and it's the smallest still wine producing region in the country.
Okay,
so that seems like so small. And
yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but let me just recap on that, if I may. We've got a little bit of breaking up on the line to you. But are you saying it's the oldest co-op that's producing wine, and it's the oldest demarcated? That's the DOC designation, is it? So it's the oldest in the country for that.
No. The smallest. The smallest. No.
Smallest.
No. Smallest.
Okay.
The smallest demarcated. Yeah. The oldest is what.
Okay, so we're talking about Colares within the Sintra district.
Yeah, and also I don't know if that bit was on or not. Also, the smallest wine producing region still wine producing region in the country.
Okay, all right, very good. And how was it?
It was very good. You can do several kinds of tours there.
Yeah.
And you can do several kinds of tours there. Or you can just go for a wine tasting. You can actually go to the vineyards as well, and the vineyards are special, very special. And that was also one of my points of interest in going there. Whoops. And what happened was that I booked one of the tours, one of the options, and you get to visit the building inside and taste. Well, it's supposed to be just 2 wines. I got to taste 3 because I mentioned I would use that experience for the blog. So they were nice, and I got to try a third wine. Yeah, it was very interesting to and there's going to be a blog post about that later today. It's pretty much finished, but as someone who works with writing, I like to give it an extra final reading before actually hitting that publish button. But yeah, it will be online today.
That is so diligent of you. Yeah, I'd like to say I share your sense of diligence with that, but no, I'm a bit more crashy-bashy than that. Here they are, the Adega Regional de Colares. It's a nice looking place, isn't it? Our wines, the Aranay Ramishko. Do you remember any of the tasting notes, or do you have any good memories of this wine in particular that distinguishes
it will be on the blog, the tasting notes.
All in the blog.
Because I tasted, I think that's that one. Yeah, that's the Ramishko 2014. I tasted that one. It was very good.
And even as someone who's not that bothered about wine, you could taste the quality there. I love it.
It has to do with it has to do with the grapes they use and the way they're planted. And that, to me, that was a very nerdy interest I had in going there as well. Not just tasting the wines.
Right.
Because you notice that name. Yeah, sorry.
No, go on. I'm just noticing that due to the deep rehabilitation works on the roof of our winery, we inform you that we might have limitations to the visits and tastings.
No.
But you did well there.
What happened was that you couldn't see the whole cellar, but you got to see like half of it because they were working on the other half. But you still have an amazing experience. I highly recommend going there.
It's a classy looking website, and look at all of this lovely history here that I'm sure you will remark upon in your blog that's being published today. And you can see the link to Cátia's blog there, beyondlisbon.wordpress.com, where it will be published later on today. So thank you for the heads up on that. What would you say then, having looked into the cooperative movement here? How important is that to Portuguese culture? Because it's not just wine, is it? It is. It extends across food production, and I think Antonio F was saying earlier on there were house building cooperatives as well. How important is that to Portuguese society, politics, etc.?
Quite important, because it's a way for small producers or small, companies to come together and have a greater. Bigger presence in the market. Like, for example, here in this case with the Colares Co-op, originally the producing of wine here in Colares, it dates back to at least the time of the first Portuguese king. So, I mean, It's probably was happening before, right? So, and what happened was that because of the basically the pressure in the from the property market, the area of vineyards here in Colares, in Sintra, has been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So at some point, but also because the wine from Courage was very appreciated, the producers, they got together to create this co-op as a way of surviving, basically.
Yeah, right, right. And I think this was certainly there was a great celebration of the co-ops post-revolution, wasn't there? Where it was thought, people coming together could make a better job than the bosses of the Estado Novo.
Yeah, but this is started before the revolution. Like, for example, this one in Courage, the oldest winery, cooperative winery, started out in 1931.
Yes.
So, yeah. It
And
was
do you
not
think?
so, although yes, there was, I would say there was a boom in co-ops. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and I
74,
suppose
yeah.
it suited the change in the sort of political atmosphere at the time. The idea of people working together in a more social or socialistic way rather than being in top-down structures. And do you think that it suits the Portuguese psyche to be working in this way? Because I know, I've looked into this over the years as a business structure, and I've been involved in all sorts of businesses and organizations and enterprises. And whenever you mention to people, how about doing it as a cooperative? It does make people feel uncomfortable, certainly in the UK. There's the social enterprise movement, I think, is a more comfortable model for people in the UK than a full-on cooperative where everybody's voice counts and there are endless meetings to establish the direction. Which, of course, if you're a sole proprietor, you just decide what you're going to do, don't you? And you tell you're within the law, and within the given rights of workers who you're contracted with. You're pretty much the leader, and you tell them what to do. The cooperative, however, is everyone has a say, and that has its challenges. I don't think people like it in the UK. Does it suit the Portuguese mentality a little bit better, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it also depends on which area of business we're talking about and also in which part of the country. I think it's more prevalent in the south, not so much in the north,
Right. Why is that? Why?
especially the industrial north. It's a different mentality. And again, you have to bear in mind the importance of, for example, if you look at Alentejo, it's not exclusively something that happened or happens exclusively in Alentejo. But if you compare Alentejo, for example, with other parts of the country, there is this big importance on cooperative thinking versus the big guy up there bossing everyone around. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I suppose it depends, doesn't it? If you want that responsibility as well. I mean, some people do just want to turn up to work and get paid at the end of the month, don't they? And be told what to do. Whereas others, with maybe who want, who I don't know, want to have a bit more of a stake in things, and a sense of direction. It is a responsibility. It's not just a way of like bringing the boss down, is it? There is a big responsibility that I think goes with it.
Yeah, having a voice.
Yeah, having a voice, and also I suppose it probably is more prevalent where you need other people. If you've got a choice whether you can just go it alone or not, a lot of people go it alone. But if you're in a country area and you're in an industry where you need to maybe co-invest with other people in terms of kit and production facilities, that might be a necessity rather than a luxury. And then you again might form yourself into a cooperative that way. So good to. And when you were doing your research on cooperatives, were you finding that Portugal ranked highly in that? Do we here have some skin in the game when it comes into the world league tables of cooperatives?
I didn't look at it from that perspective. Really, it was just it was the cooperatives here was just the starting point to talk about this cooperative winery. I don't think, I mean, compared with other parts of Europe, I don't think that today cooperatives are that important. Talking about Europe, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, but comparing with Europe today, I don't think they're that important, although they still are, especially in terms of, for example, smaller companies producing organic produce, for example, smaller farms. Yes, it's still prevalent, but not as much as it was some years ago, and probably not as much as in other parts of Europe, Western Europe.
Who knows? We might have a comeback, mightn't we? Because I think there may be a feeling on the ground that we're a bit sick of top down and centralized control. and maybe there may be outbreaks of cooperative working in the future. Some people think co-ops only operate in the agriculture sector. I'm sure that's not true, but you could be forgiving for thinking so. In fact, Antonio F saying here, house cooperatives were basically the only way for people to have their own house when the bank loans were very expensive. And again, I mean, that comes back to necessity, doesn't it? Isn't it funny? Human nature kind of dictates in a way that we work together when we have to. And at other times when we don't need to, we don't bother necessarily. So maybe we are coming back, to a renaissance of working together because the need is there. Carl, are you a fan of bottom up rather than top down? Fair call. Okay, Pete. You may be interested to know. I think you've only just joined us, Pete, but that's Philomena joins us tomorrow, of course, and we'll have that video ready where a few of you were gathered in Tomar. Just recently. So anything else you want to say then about this wonderful wine tasting experience, Cátia, or cooperative?
Yes. The method itself, I'll be talking about it on the blog post, but the method itself is something that's quite astonishing, because for those who don't know Sintra, it's not the sunniest place in the country. Okay, also not the cloudiest, but certainly not the sunniest, and some of the vineyards there are actually less than 1 kilometer from the coastline, so the beach area.
Yes.
And they're actually grown in sand. And how do you manage to grow vines in sand? Aha! That's why, I don't know if you remember when you were showing some of the images from their website, one of the wines there that you showed was called arenae, that means from the sands, in Latin. And that's because, yes, the wine production, the most famous, I would say, wine production from Colares, it's in the sand, and sandy soil is called chão de areia, as opposed to chão rijo, which is another type of vineyard planting where they dig like small trenches until they reach, through the sand layers until they reach the clay soil. And there's a whole process to it that takes several years long. Some of the vineyards there are like over 100 years old. So, and then you have some specific grape varieties like Ramisco. That was one of the bottles that you showed there in the first bit.
Yes, yeah.
And Ramisco is one of the very few grape varieties that is ungrafted, and so not grafted onto the phylloxera resistant rootstocks. And why? Because this was because of their method of planting in the sand. The phylloxera cannot reach the roots, and it cannot hold on to the roots. So they actually survived phylloxera.
Amazing. This is incredible what you're telling us here. Irrational viticulture, paradoxical wine. Yes, fortunately, not all the wine world is written in black and white. So they are really dealing with some difficult conditions that the Douro, for example, and when we found out about the Beira Interiora, our last wine tasting, these are regions perhaps where you can let the vines get on with it. It looks like this is a lot more intensive. They've got some serious skills that they've developed over the last 120 years or so. So some difficult conditions, producing some extraordinary wines by the sound of it.
Yes.
I love
also,
it.
they have another grape there that's called Malvasia de Colares. There are several types of Malvasia grapes, and that one is Malvasia de Colares, and which is used to produce white wine. And it was also very, very good.
And can you see the Sintra Palace from this vineyard? Because these pictures are beautiful.
There are several vineyards there. There are small vineyards in that area, so near the coast.
Amazing. There's the location.
And you see that bit of green there in the image before.
This here?
Whoops! No. Further down. Yes. See that green? Those bits of green that's so close to the ground. Those are the vineyards.
So they're growing in a very different way here. I love how they're using what looks like the canna stems. There's some a little bit of a garden hack for people here in Portugal. There's plenty of canna about, but the ground is being mulched. The vineyards, the vines are very close to the ground as well. So maybe how they're dealing with the sandy soil. And yeah, it's all very low to the ground, isn't it?
Yes, because of the sun.
Bushes. Yep, incredible. And this picture here, that is so beautiful. This is looking
That's
like
looking
like the Amalfi Coast, isn't it? And I was drawn by this map here. I mean, this is an incredible part of Portugal, isn't it? With Cabo da Roca not far away, the Praia de Massage, as well, Guincho, a bit further down south, and the Cascais, of course, down there at the bottom of that jut there. What a fantastic part of the world this is. And of course, you're not far from the palace. Sintra Palace is there, aren't you? That's fantastic. Let's bring in the Portuguese into the conversation and find out if he's tried this particular wine. His studio looks very interesting this morning. Let's bring him on and find out more about how he's doing it right now. The Portuguese. Let me just get this furniture off the screen so we can all see each other. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for asking. And you guys? Well, Cátia, Carl, happy?
I'm doing great, Cátia.
I cannot see the Portuguese. No, I can't.
Can you hear it?
No.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Really weird.
Oh.
Yeah. There's just that spirally thing going like this.
How bizarre.
So maybe I could just do that engineering trick and leave and then come back in again.
Well, let's see if it improves. Let's see if it improves.
Okay. I'll try that out.
Okay. All right. You do what
you
in
a minute.
Oh, okay. She's going to pop out and pop back in again. I think.
Because I just caught the tail end of the conversation about grapes, and I'm interested to pick Cátia's brain about the grapes, because our grapes, we bought a piece of land last year, and we spent quite a lot of time and a little bit of money bringing our grapes back to life. We put all new wires in and all that sort of thing, and the plants are doing really well, but the grapes look like peas. and they taste like peas as well. Maybe they're pea plants. We don't know much about farming.
Clearly,
we're kind of winging it. But yeah, I mean, we were hoping to maybe have a go at producing a little bit of wine, but there's no chance. So we're not sure if it's the sun or. Yeah,
I think it takes time, Tony, doesn't it? Like so many things in life. And this, of course, is one of the big challenges of being a homesteader, isn't it? Is that you want everything to happen very quickly, understandably as well. You know, you get your land and you want to get cracking. I guess it might take a little while. And for those folks we've been celebrating this morning, it's taken them 120 years, I think, to pretty much to get into shape and producing excellent wines. But if anyone's got any tips for the Portuguese this morning, who I thought had a big bag of urine behind him. In when I could only see a small view of you, I thought you either had one of those fly. You know how some people put a bag of water up,
right?
In it, so I thought you might have had
this one.
Yes,
this is our swag from the government-run Portuguese lessons. They give you at the end. They give you a I don't know. A kind of a bag, and it's got a notebook and a pencil, and you know,
it's like having the scars to show it to prove.
Exactly. Because if you ask me to speak Portuguese, there's no evidence there. This is all the evidence I have, really.
I can speak Portuguese. I've got the bag to prove it.
I've got the bag to prove it. Yeah.
What was that like? Was it the A2 course that you've done? We haven't talked about
that. We've only done the A1. And it's how I would describe it is it's very, very fast, and it's a lot of obviously they have their kind of checklist of what they want you to get through. So kind of like you go away and you kind of know how to say most of the rooms in the house, and how to say floor, and how to say things that are in the kitchen, but you still don't know how to string sentences together. It's more kind of like I call it kind of caveman speak. You know, you can point to things and go, you know, sala, piso, you know.
Right, okay. Yeah. And of course, that's a bit difficult because it's rude to point in Portugal, of course, we're told, aren't we, from time to time?
Right, I didn't know that. I didn't know
Right,
that. So maybe that's why I've got no friends.
Maybe
All
that's
the
why it's
pointing.
going so badly. Yeah. And you took issue with me recently. I posted up yet another one of those lists of why Portugal's such a cracking place to move to. You've created your own list just recently. Where can we see that? And do you want to give us a few high points from that today, or low points, as it turns out?
Are you talking about the list of ugly places? You know,
Yeah.
that's not just a response to you, Carl. That's just every day you go on the you know this. You go onto the old Facebook and there'll be a top 10 right
Yes.
there.
That's
And,
exactly what I'm referring to. This phenomenon, yeah. And you like to push back a little bit, don't you, when you see those?
Yeah, I just think it's kind of ridiculous. But interestingly, I noticed on if you look at Portugal News, which is the English Portugal News website,
Yes.
they've just published a list now that ranks Portugal 10th as a place in the world to retire.
Okay.
So that was interesting. That's the first time I've ever seen Portugal not be on top, and at least they've provided some kind of evidence for why it's 10th. I mean, 10th out of the whole world is still pretty good, right? But believe me, there's people complaining. There's people complaining. How can it be 10th? It must be first. And but last week they published a top 10, a top 10 where Portugal was first, and their evidence was according to a list. I kid you not. According to a list, Portugal is number 1 in the world. According to a list. What is that?
That's rigorous research for some people.
Rigorous research, yeah, according to a list.
So when you see these things, as well as growing grapes, or you're drawn in from the grape fields to go to your keyboard, and so I think I did notice, yeah, you had the 10 ugliest towns in Portugal, just redressing the balance a bit, or addressing the balance. But there was another one before that, I think, where you had your list of, it was your beef list, I think, which made for some good reading too. Points from either of those this morning would be most welcome, by way of a bit of balance. What is the ugliest city or place in Portugal, by your reckoning?
Look, you got me on the spot, Carl, because you have to understand, and everyone has to understand, I don't really believe my own list.
Okay.
I don't believe it. Listen, look, where do I come from?
Australia.
I come from, well, no, I come from England, right?
Right.
Hemel Hempstead.
All right. Okay.
High Wycombe.
Yeah.
Milton Keynes. Birmingham. You know?
Yes. All right.
So who am I to talk about ugly towns? I mean, of course, in the UK we have some very pretty towns, but let's face it, you can't come from England to Portugal and be taken seriously if you're writing a list of ugly towns. Am I right?
We like a bit of context, and there it is, there this morning. Cátia, feel free to join in at any time during this conversation, of course. I can remind you this, because I put it up on Learn About Portugal. Did you see the port? Yeah, you see, if you write stuff, you might get quoted from time to time. And I love the gift that goes with it. Did you see the Portuguese's 10 ugliest towns in Portugal? I've asked the author to join us here, which he can do. You've got an aircraft going over there, Cátia. Have you got the?
Yeah.
Right, I had that yesterday. It frightened the living bejeebers out of me yesterday. I was in the bay at San Martino de Porto, and a fighter jet went over. Sounds like you're having a similar thing at the moment.
There's been a lot of hasn't there been a lot of military aircraft activity in the last week? Just saying.
It was the Vilnius meeting, perhaps, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 ugliest towns. Then we don't have to go into each and every name and shame each and every one. And I've got experience of, I think, just 3 of these, one of which I disagree with you on. However, I would go with Marinha Grande as not being the most attractive city or town in Portugal, and then Entroncamento. It's hard to see the charm of Entroncamento. I'm sure you have to get out of your car and have a wander about, which you often have to do in Portugal to find out what's really going on. And Pombal, I like Pombal.
Yeah, so do I. I wasn't being fair, really. Yeah, that wasn't fair.
We're just being sensational here, Tony, we discovered this morning.
Yeah, I admit I was being a bit. I also had a bit of help from my friend in writing this. Yeah.
Portuguese or other nationality?
I don't know what nationality he or she is.
What?
But well, I don't even know what gender he or she is.
Let's call them they then. In that case,
We could call them Chat GPT 4 if you want.
that's
Between you and me.
Okay. Well, can we get rid of him now, Cátia? There's us two writers, and there he is, like his friend Chat GPT. But we're all going to be out of business if this continues.
Yeah, it's not looking good, is it? It's not looking good.
It only shows what you get from using ChatGPT, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
thank you. Yes.
Well, to be fair, Pomble is a good example. I mean, I saw that on the list, and I thought, I don't know if I agree with that Chat GPT 4. But anyway, here we go. Let's see what hornets we can stir up today.
All right. So we are seeing a steady decline of a man in central Portugal here. Not only do you not like read or remember your own lists, you're also you are actually talking to Chat GPT as though it were a real person now.
Do you know what's worse than that? A couple of weeks ago, I introduced one of my students because he said, "Are there any tools you think can help me while we're not in lessons to learn English?" So I introduced him to Chat GPT 4, and I've lost that student. I'm not even joking.
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He's going to come back next week and start teaching me Portuguese, I think, probably.
Yes, there's a good chance of that. On that matter, Sarah says, don't worry about your A1. The A2 certificate basically says if you shout at these people enough, you might get some. I'm sure it doesn't. Is that from ChatGPT as well? We've been talking about co-ops this morning. Squire of the Shire says they could be a great alternative to the power, profit, and control model systems of the greedy lot at the top who keep us divided, so we accept their unhealthy solutions and be happy about it. There's that phrase again. Cátia, when we asked you just now, Tony was talking about his small grapes.
TMI.
We know you're not a doctor, but
I don't want to have a look.
Yeah, show
Either way.
Does
ChatGPT 4 do visuals as well, Tony?
Not yet. It won't be long now, though.
It won't, will it?
Really, we should all be very, very nervous about it. But anyway, that's for another time.
Hold on a minute. You can't say that and then just say it's for another time. Why do you think? Okay, because this is a useful bit of conversation that I wasn't expecting to have this morning. But we have writers among us and teachers, and now the man who is a writer and a teacher saying we should be very nervous. Why do you think that is?
I think that it won't be very long now until I've already seen some deep fakes where they've. For example, I think I posted one on Facebook a few days ago with I can't remember which actor it was now, but he was speaking, and then halfway through his conversation he said, "By the way, I'm not who I look like. This is a deep fake," and it was I couldn't tell. I mean, maybe an expert could tell, but I certainly couldn't tell. And I really do think that within a year or two, a lot of talking heads are going to be replaced by AI. And certainly if you're a copywriter, you should be nervous. Songwriter, jingle writer. Yeah.
And are you nervous, Cátia, as that person he's referring to?
No, because at least what I think, and concerning those deepfake videos, they've been around for a while. It's not at least like, I don't know, a couple of years, if not more. But concerning something like ChatGPT, it's like this. If in terms of writing, if you have like a small company or something like that, so assuming you don't have a team of people writing for you, like, or a marketing team, anything like that. And if you need to write something for your business, and if ChatGPT fulfills those needs, if you're happy with it, then obviously you don't need a writer. And I've seen some things written by ChatGPT, and I mean, it's not really accurate. Even because, for example, in some things, and certainly in some of the areas that I work in, the fact that it hasn't been updated since 2021, I think it was, obviously is a downside. So it could be helpful. I think I've known people who use it to write reports for their work, something like that, stuff like that. So, in a sense, I think it will, or it could be used instead of, like a secretary to some point, or a virtual assistant, something like that. But if you need a writer to really write and really go, to aim at a specific audience and have very specific needs, I don't really think ChatGPT will, at least for now, I don't think it will fulfill those needs. I use that phrase again, but
I think could I just throw just a couple of points in there, Cátia, which is I've spoken to a few people who've been critical of the quality of ChatGPT, and then when I've dug further, because I use the paid version of ChatGPT 4, which is much better than ChatGPT 3, which is the version most people use. And then on top of that, what I would also add is, for example, I think we are a group of, in this room right now, we're a group of 3 probably quite creative people. So I think we will find a way through. Who I feel for is people who are kind of in a lane. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
People who are, some people find it difficult to adapt, let's say.
Yes,
possibly even most people, right? And I think I know how it sounds terrible. I feel bad saying it, but it's probably true. And I think there's going to be a short, sharp shock for a lot of people. Pretty soon.
You are the man who feels bad about saying things. That's how I have you in my mind, but they need to be said anyway.
Yeah.
That's how you roll. I think.
But Cátia, you disappeared for a while, but I wanted to pick your brain about the grapes because last year I bought. I know it's a complete change of subject, right? I mean, AI is not going to stop farmers. That's the thing. We're going to keep going. But
let me just say this. I think that it's a very interesting, the fact that we're talking about AI on the same day when we're talking about co-ops, because you have two different opposing fields, and I honestly, it is my belief that we will see a further, how can I say this, a bigger divide growing between both fields. I think at some point people will just have to choose whether they want to stay on the AI side or on the co-op village side.
I'm an 80s kid and I saw all the movies. Okay, one day we have to decide. we either have to live in the country and work cooperatively, or live in the cities like ants. That's going to be the choice. Really, I'm so
glad you're here this morning. You cheered us right up. But you know what? That's not a terrible vision, is it? Let's face it. And I don't think you're alone. So. I don't think you're alone in thinking that. And
lots of us are preparing for it. Lots of people are preparing for it. And I'm not talking prepper in the sort of more paranoid sense. I'm just talking about people who are getting back on the land and trying to grow their own food trying to pick, getting a hammer and trying to build stuff, even if they don't know what they're doing, which is key.
It makes for great
part of the experience.
It makes for a great YouTube channel when someone just picks up a hammer and starts trying to grow grapes with it.
That's what's happening.
That's the problem. That is your problem right there. I think with this Chat GPT thing and AI, it's funny. It's a great check of our assumptions, isn't it? I mean, what occurred to me when you were talking about Morgan Freeman, I think, suddenly saying, I'm not who you think I am. I mean, the guy's an actor. Didn't we know that already? We've been, that is what actors do. It's just a different version of somebody being what they're not. What did we expect? And Pete makes an interesting point. There is a recent university lecturer strike, or with it, many students found their dissertation comments were generated by ChatGPT in the UK. Paying $9,000 for that is just a disgrace. There's nothing new in that, is there?
Yeah. I wanted my house built by a man with his bare hands. I didn't want him to use tools. It's funny though, isn't it? There's always a different angle, isn't there? There's always another angle. Always another angle. Yeah.
And I imagine it was a little bit like when synthesizers. And
it's not real music. It's not real music.
The Judas moment for Bob Dylan. We went from acoustic to electric, Fado is keeping that tradition well and truly alive in Portugal, and I don't know if there probably is electro Fado somewhere, but point being, people would have said at the time of synthesizers and terrible singers being made to sound passable.
Auto-tune, yeah.
But that we know, don't we? If you listen to a highly produced, expensive record, you still know it's crap because there's no soul or heart in it. It's competent, and I think that's probably like AI generated copywriting. Is there's no soul in it, and we know that. And if anything, AI and Chat GPT might help us discern better what is real and what is organic and what is beautiful about being human, rather than all the crap we've been like, these terrible university courses where we've just been. These are the lanes you're talking about, aren't they, Tony? I think people going through the motions of education. And it's not as if suddenly Chat GPT has made a lot of education and academia crap. It has been for decades. People have just been going through the motions of this stuff, haven't they? And, that's not a criticism of individuals. That's a criticism of our system. And if our system can be shaken up by these new technologies and more of us can live in the countryside growing grapes with hammers, I'm all for it.
Yeah. We haven't just been growing grapes, by the way. We've been growing.
Tell us, what else have you been up to?
Well, we've fig tree about a week ago came to life, and that's been really amazing. I mean, Katya's nodding there. Everyone's got figs right now, and this is something that's new to me. I knew we had a fig tree, but last year, as I say, when we bought our land, it had been overgrown and let go for years. So we've spent the last year clearing it and bringing everything back to life, and the fig tree has rewarded us. I mean, no one can use our toilet this week. There's 4 of us living in the house with one toilet, and it's been absolutely crazy. Plum tree as well. And what we've learned about the figs is, and again, I'm new to farming. I always thought when you had a fruit tree, all the fruit came at once, and then one day you just went out with a basket and picked them all, and you were good to go. But with figs, you got to go every day, and so far it's been a week, and there's no sign of it stopping. Every day you have maybe 50 newly ripened figs, and you got to get them off the tree that day or the next day. They're on the ground. You got to get them off and eat them. Although, Katya, I know you're laughing at me, but finally, after the 5th or 6th day, we learned that you have to dry them. That's the trick. So
yes.
So we made a wooden frame out in the garden, and we've got them all out there drying in the sun. It takes about 24, 48 hours, and then you have dried. Well, we call them prunes, don't they?
That is fantastic. Dried figs? Well, no, prunes aren't dry. Are they dried? No.
No, they're not prunes. No, not prunes. Dried figs are dried figs.
Yes.
Dried figs are just dried figs then.
No.
Yeah, but good.
Okay.
Well done. Is there not a cooperative nearby that can help you with the picking and the preservation?
I mean, probably
for next year.
Yeah, it's Carl. I saw your bit on Facebook about the idea of buying a big estate and working cooperatively and all that.
Yes,
and
yes,
I really love that idea. And I actually had when we were in our 20s, and my friends in England, we first started buying houses. And I remember it occurring to me that, do you know what I mean by this? The law of, the law of diminishing returns doesn't apply to houses. The more money you spend, the more house you get when it comes to houses and land, I think. So in England, you could buy a manor house for 1.5, 2 million quid, or you could 20 years ago.
Yes.
And I said to my friends, oh, why don't we do that? And then with the money we've got left, we could hire a cook, and we could hire a gardener, and they just looked at me like I was mad. But I was really being real about it, So we're all going to sit in our, 2 or 3 bedroom terrace boxes. We could do so much more, right?
Well, you're back to the lanes you were talking about. I think this takes a shift, doesn't it, of thinking and being.
Yeah.
And risk and fear, challenging fears. And that's why I think that, it's a very, very, very interesting point you make, because, housing co-ops, not the housing co-ops that were like a sort of semi-political thing, but living cooperatively does have many possible upsides and benefits, but it also requires a lot of work and a change of thinking and a change in our expectations, mainly, I guess, as
Yeah.
well. So on paper, your idea sounds fantastic. I mean, Portugal would be such a good place to do it. You're right. I mean, the more people get together with a modest amount of money, you can buy a village, can't you? You can buy incredible properties, an old vineyard, an old adega.
There has to be a lot of tolerance as well built into the people, I think. I mean, I noticed this with it's occurred to me sort of the group of friends that I have, and I've got a really great group of friends here in central Portugal, but we're all very different. And it's interesting because in England, we probably wouldn't have met each other. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because our ages are so different and our backgrounds are so different. So it's been quite interesting because trying to get through the things that maybe we wouldn't normally see eye to eye on and value the kind of the difference that each person brings to the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what tolerance is, I think, isn't it?
I think you're right.
This word. Yeah,
I think you're right. So we've got some good themes this morning: the co-ops, the changing lane, changing the way we look at things. Great conversation.
Hug a slug. Someone called Hug a Slug was just on the chat there. Yeah. These are dried plums.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think he was saying that dried plums might be.
I believe there is a cream available if you've got really dry plums. Great conversation. Co-ops. I nearly said coops, and that's the problem, isn't it? People believe they will be cooped up in a co-op and have to face all their fears and difficulties. And maybe that's what we do need to do anyway as a race. And maybe that's why we're in the trouble we're in, because we can't face the dark side that might come up in cooperative living. Co-ops are the answer to a lot of problems. Houses, says Pete, can become money pits if you aren't careful. But then again, you've got a lot of hands to work, especially if they're skilled hands, right? I grew up in a 12-bedroom house opposite Kew Gardens, and we could only afford to eat half of it. The bigger the house, the more it sucks up. Hug a Slug, absolutely right. He is here. Canning, jarring, drying, making jam, soups and compotes. The old school way of managing the abundance of produce at one time. And we need to recover those skills, don't we? Yeah. The cost of materials has quadrupled in some cases since COVID. Is someone jet washing your room, Cátia?
No, so I have a bit of the window open, and there's a road here. So. Sorry.
Jet washing service of the computer or something like that.
Carl, speaking of those skills, this is also something I've noticed in our village. Is I would guess for a farmer, I'm very, very young. Yeah. Actually, so when I look around, and what interests us is, as time goes by, more and more of these small, 2,000, 3,000 square meter plots become available as people sadly pass away. And what I do think is worrying, and Cátia, maybe you might have something to say about this, is those skills are being lost. You know what I mean? How to, because some of those people are getting amazing crops out of the smallest pieces of land. And I know there's one old couple who live nearby who told us they never go to the supermarket. So they've got 2,000 square meters and all of their food, bar the meat, comes from that 2,000 square meters. And those skills are sadly going to, be lost when they pass on, because I asked them what do their children think about coming out and helping on the farm, and they laughed for 5 minutes. They said the young people aren't interested.
Maybe that's what it requires, is the FEs, the expats, the foreigners, the immigrants to come in, see the beauty of it and work directly. So we are at 10 o'clock. I need your final and concluding thoughts here. We've got the Portuguese who's a farmer. I love how you call yourself a farmer. That's spelled FAIRMER. The modern farmer who refers to ChatGPT from time to time. We'll come to the final thoughts. Yeah. But first, Cátia, what time are you publishing, Cátia?
Later today, probably before lunchtime. So I'm just going to give it the final read and then hit that publish button.
beyondlisbon.wordpress.com and buy her a coffee while you're there. Your final thoughts on this, maybe bringing things together. Will we repopulate Central? Will we form ourselves into cooperatives and live the dream that Tony's talking about? Do you think that's possible, Cátia?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Maybe not in the next couple of years or so, but yes, I think so. Wow. And I actually think the Central Portugal is going to be fundamental in that, in Portugal. I really do. Because of the people going, yeah, honestly, I do. And I've been thinking this for some 4 or 5 years already. Yes. I really think so, yes.
I've been thinking of it for, I think, probably 15 years now, and I've ended up in a suburban street in a touristy seaside town. Who knows what might happen, though, in the next...
Yes.
Thank you, Cátia, for being here, and that inspirational message there. What do you reckon, Tony?
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I can't say I'm looking forward to it because I feel bad for the people who won't have a choice, and I think a lot of people won't have a choice. But what I say is I'm ready, or at least we're getting ready. We're getting ready for that time. So, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy to be out there working on the farm. Yep.
Right.
Can I just say something? I think that we will be creating new villages. That's what I think. With modern villages, in the sense that some of the people that live in urban areas will eventually move to less urban areas, and even if they don't know how to work the land, so to speak, they will bring other skills and make new communities. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think, honestly, I don't want to think that the people who are forming these communities now will stop new people from coming in simply because they don't have the same skills they do. I don't think that will happen. I don't want to think that can happen, because that will be completely not in line with the thinking we want to have, right, in future communities. That's my thinking.
Well, maybe the next time the three of us are on the screen, we can talk directly about this. It was always my vision to be involved in the way you're speaking about moving to Portugal. Life changes, doesn't it? Things come up and you have plot twists. But I think we've got a general trend in society, globalization, socio-economical factors, political factors, that are indeed moving people towards a more cooperative way of living, either because they see the benefit and the vision and inspiration in that, or, as I think you might be suggesting as well, because they'll just have to, right?
Just have to, yeah.
Amazing. On that inspiring note, thank you so much, Cátia Lima, the Beyond
Lisbon
Lima, whose piece you can see, and the farmer with tiny grapes. But only at the moment. I predict full and swollen grapes for you in the future, Tony.
Well, as I say, we're quite proud because people suggested that we take the old grapes out because they were dead, and we've brought them back to life. Well, my wife has brought them back to life.
It's a metaphor. The metaphor for the replanting of central Portugal. You take care. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
The webinar tonight and the
bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.